Hello everyone. Well, wanted to do a lot of videos daily, but I had a conversation with my laziness and it didn't allow me to do. Sorry for that. So today we are going to see a very interesting game, and you already know who is the player. Like looking below, you can see, or you can see the thumbnail or title. Yeah, we are going to see the game of the legend, the Mikhail Tal. This game, I was discussing this game with one of my student recently, and I thought there are something very interesting things we can learn from the game. Because most of the games, whatever you see of Mikhail Tal, you'll find it fascinating, mind blowing. But how many of you can understand it properly? Like you can see, I had done a sacrifice, but what is the purpose of the sacrifice? Why? How many of you can understand that? And I realized in this game you can understand it very easily. So I thought of showing you this game. So without wasting any further time, let's start the game. So Mikhail Tal was playing as white and his opponent was John T.H. van der Wiel. This happened in 1982 and Mikhail Tal started the game with the move C4, the English opening, this is called as the English opening, and F6, and C3, E6, and F3, B6, E4, Bishop B7, Bishop D3. When I saw this move for the first time, I was why Bishop D3? Honestly, I wanted to play like D3 or Queen C2. I felt like good, but the way I understood this move was, I'm sure you guys heard about opening principles, right? If you haven't heard about it, let me just tell you in short. Like in chess, we need to follow four basic rules. One is we need to bring the pawn to the center. We say control the center. We should develop our minor pieces. The minor pieces should look at the center and we should castle as soon as possible and we should connect our rooks. So these are the four rules. So here Mikhail Tal brought his minor piece pawn to the center. His two knights are looking at the center. If the bishop comes here, the bishop is looking at the center and defending the pawn and we can castle. See, Mikhail Tal is sticking to opening principles and getting ready for castle. So I think that would be the apt way to understand why Mikhail Tal played bishop d3. c5 was played, castle, knight c6, and here Mikhail Tal started playing beautifully. So before telling you the next move, I'll ask you one simple question. See, what should we do after castle? Many of you have no idea, right? Do whatever you want. So remember this one point. So whenever we are playing a game, if we have castle and opponent didn't castle, then just remember, forget everything else, attack the king. How to opponents? If opponent's king is in the center, didn't castle, we must attack the king, nothing else. How to attack the king? We must open the lines in front of our enemy king. Any one or two lines would be great and sufficient for an attack. So Mikhail Tal played the move e5, attacking the knight and also like gaining more space. And also this knight can come here for some checks or some attacking opportunities. Knight g4, attacking the pawn, and Mikhail Tal played the move bishop e4, defending the pawn half, because if opponent captures, we capture back. And the knight is gone, bishop is gone. Queen c8, defending the bishop. So next he can capture the pawn. And now Mikhail Tal played the move d3. I really loved this interesting move. See, he's sacrificing the pawn. He could have saved the pawn by playing something bishop into c6. If captures, the pawn is saved. But Mikhail Tal chose to move the pawn and ready to sacrifice the pawn. Remember what did I told? He wanted to open the lines. He's ready to sacrifice the pawn. Like Mikhail Tal ready to sacrifice his queen, who is stopping from a pawn. And also developing the bishop. That was the idea. Capture, and now f4. So this was the sole purpose behind the sacrifice. See now what happened. Like there's a semi-open file in front of the king. The pawn is marching for an attack. Great idea. In the game, knight back goes back and f5. Mikhail Tal is not wasting any more time. Like his mind is just, there's only one thing instilled in his mind. Opponent's king is in the center. I must open the center for an attack. That's all. See, that is what we must learn from these games of classics, guys. Like we are always amused, wow, what a sacrifice, brilliant queen sacrifice. But we must understand why they have done sacrifices. Only that will learn, that will make us to better chess players. You cannot expect to become a greater chess player without understanding why opponent did this, why the grandmaster did this. The moment you start learning that, you will become stronger. So f5 was played and black played the move g6. Well, I'm not going to say bad about this move. Actually, even I would have thought something like this. Honestly, I was thinking bishop e7, getting ready to castle as soon as possible. But bishop e7 also has lot of problems. Capture. If he captures here, how on earth he can castle? Or if he captures like this, see the attack is too much attack is coming. Yeah, see this attack here. He cannot castle. There is a checkmate. If he stops here, now something queen here. How can he castle? Queen is coming here. There is lot of attacks coming. That is very hard to defend. So in the game he played g6. This is a mistake. Why? Simply because this makes most of the pawns in the king side, like all the pawns in the king side are in one color. See, this is the king side and this is the queen side. Let me change the color. So if all the pawns are in one color, then the opposite color is weak. See here, all the pawns are in the right squares. So the dark squares are weak. If we have one bishop, the bishop can grab all the squares, right? So that's very dangerous. In the game, bishop g5 was played without any hesitation, captured, and now it's time for Tal move. And Mikhail Tal played the move bishop into f5, sacrificing the bishop, and black hesitated to capture. Not only because his opponent was Mikhail Tal, and there is a very serious threat. If opponent captures, this is mission success for white. Why? What did I say in the initial game? We want to open the center. If opponent's king is in the center, we must open the center. Haven't we accomplished that right now? There is a file open in front of the king. Great deal, right? We can play something like queen e2 check. I'm just showing you an interesting variation. Opponent has, the king has no square to go, so block, rook here. We are building pressure, like we are piling up pieces for an attack. See, opponent pieces are becoming very passive. Just one interesting variation would be queen e5. I would love something like smothered mate like this. Right, coming here is a smothered mate, but opponent can defend us actually. So something like queen e5, attacking the rook, and now queen into f5, attack, threatening checkmate here. There is a pressure here. This knight can come here. Like there are a lot of attacks, and as a human, I don't think anyone can defend this position in a sane manner. It's impossible. It's insane position. So coming back to the game, bishop into f5. That the reason why Mikhail Tal played bishop into f5. I hope you can understand how to think like Mikhail Tal. In the game, Mikhail Tal's opponent played. Sorry, my bad. Bishop e7 was played. Queen h5, bringing the queen and trying to attack this soft spot, or shall I call sweet spot. Bishop into queen into knight e7. Now the bishop is under attack, so he moved the bishop, and opponent played the bishop into e4. I had one interesting variation here was f5. Like, what if opponent plays f5? Like, this stops the attack here. Like, if you check here, opponent can block the check. And there's one very, very beautiful move here. The move is knight b5. Like, this is a brilliant move, yeah. The bishop is under attack. You're not going to capture the bishop. You're ignoring the threat and playing knight d6 family fork. This is crazy. If opponent like captures, it's fork. So opponent cannot capture, right? So if opponent moves the king, still this is a fork. The queen is attacked, bishop is under attack. If the queen moves, the bishop is gone. If opponent moves the queen, this is no better for black because we can capture the bishop. The rook is trapped. If opponent captures, it's a fork again. So this was very crazy move at b5. I really loved this when I was analyzing the game. So in the game, bishop into e4, knight into e4. The knight is coming closer. See, whenever you're attacking, you should bring more and more pieces into the attack. You're threatening fork here. See, 4 attacking options like this. And Mikhail Tal's opponent played the move queen c6, stopping knight fork here, and also if by chance, if there is any chance, he can do long castle and save the king. And it is Mikhail Tal's turn, and Mikhail Tal played the final blow in the position. If you want, you can pause the video and think here, and I'm going to tell the move. Mikhail Tal played the move for king f7. Seeing how he's going sacrifice. Wow. Wow. See, like this sacrifice happens after a lot of digging, bringing the pieces, looking for attacks, keep on applying pressure, keep on attacking small attacks, and finally a big blow. King f7. The king doesn't capture. Queen into e7 is coming. That's crazy. Capture happened. Queen check and queen into e7. So now our threat is knight f6 checkmate. The king has no square to go. So knight f6 literally checkmates the king. So opponent played rook f8. His idea was if knight f6, he is ready to sacrifice the rook and save the king from checkmate. But still this position is pretty bad. I would love to play something like this, like this, like this. Some plans like this, that is very nasty. So in the game, Mikhail Tal didn't even go for that. And here Mikhail Tal played the final move, which ended the game quickly, and the move was rook f1. Black resigned the game. Black has no moves, like he's simply punching the board like this. What else he can do here? The threat is rook into checkmate. Let's assume opponent defends the check like this. Now we have you can capture and knight f6. The king is stuck, so opponent has to give up the queen. And I don't think it's hard for Mikhail Tal to win the game. So this was like Mikhail Tal's game. How beautiful it was, right? See, I want to emphasize more on this kind of things here. See, this was the point number one. He's sticking to opening principles. See, whenever you're playing a game, stick to opening principles, the fundamental opening principles. When you stick to that, most of your blunders will fade away. And like that, a conviction, opponent's king is in the center, I must open the center. That is what you must like learn from the games of Mikhail Tal. He was daring, he's ready to sacrifice some material because he wants to attack the king which is in the center. That realization is what you must start to like that should happen to you while playing the game. Then only you start finding brilliances like Mikhail Tal, or else you'll never find. Okay, that like I'm beautiful. Like the rest was so beautiful. I hope you enjoyed the game and learned something new. Like drop like in the comments, say like what you have learned actually, and also even the YouTube Baba will understand what you have learned. And I'm not promising that I'll bring more videos like this because many times I fail to do that. I'll try my best to bring more interesting videos like this, and thank you. Thank you and see you in the next video.